Hey guys, Buffett Gaming back today bringing a video, and today we're going over some more Season 4 weapon builds that I think are very viable here on Fortune's Keep that I've been using. We have a lot of separate videos on these upcoming shortly. Specifically, one of these builds we'll go into, which I think is actually one of the most viable or competitive builds to some of the Vanguard weapons. So let's go ahead and jump right into it here. First off, we have the PKM and the Odin build, which this has been in my rotation for quite a while now, so I won't go into this one again. This has been in a lot of the previous weapon builds. It's the best in-slot PKM with my Ash 12 build for CQC engagements, which I've gone through and have separate videos on the channel, so go ahead and check those ones out. Next up, we have the Ace build here for the Modernized Galil. I didn't rename the class. It's still named the AN94 here, but here we have if we jump right into it here, we have the CR56 AMAX, which is in real life the Ace. So this is the Ace Galil, the Galil Ace, Modernized Galil AR assault rifle in 7.62 by 39mm. This is going to be a monolithic suppressor, so the best in-slot barrel attachment or the muzzle attachment. Barrel attachment going to be the S440 for the Zodiac, going to give us damage at range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Next up, we'll have the TAC laser build. Again, this is going to give us aim down sight speed, aim stability, and aim walking movement speed. However, again, like I always say, the laser is going to be visible to enemies, but is it really? It's kind of difficult to really see, and plus, if you're careful about where you pre-aim, it's really not a big deal. So the pros definitely outweigh the cons with this specific attachment. Next up, we have the integral hybrid or Leopold hammer. This is a must on pretty much all my weapons. We have the 3.25 as well as the top-mounted delta point optic there. And then you have the cons here being the aim down sight speed, so we'll go ahead and back out of that. Next up, we have the Merc foregrip. So with Ace, this thing received quite a bit of a recoil nerf back a few seasons back. So the Merc foregrip here I always found to give us the best recoil control with this weapon, even back when it was one of the most meta weapons, even over the Ranger foregrip and the Commando. So here we have the recoil control and the hipfire accuracy being the pros here. But again, this fires a larger caliber, so it's going to be a 7.62 by 39mm. So the Merc foregrip here definitely gives it a bit of a recoil mitigation aspect to it. So definitely try that one out. This is definitely one of my better, if not my best builds that I've always used for this. When I do happen to have this in rotation, which it really isn't often, but when I do, this is the one that I go to, and it actually works out really well. So definitely give this one a try. For the secondary here, we have the ISO. So this one is actually a very underused submachine gun, I feel like. We have the barrel attachment here being the FSS Nightshade. It's going to give us damage at range, recoil control, and bullet velocity, as well as sound suppression. Con's going to be aimed on sight speed and movement speed, so that's going to negate the muzzle attachment. Laser option, we have the 5mm laser. PBX hollow on this thing. This is going to give us a 1x magnification with the cons being the aim down sight speed. And then we have the 50-round drum of the 9x19 Parabellum, as well as a Merc foregrip. You can also run a Commando or even a Ranger. All those work pretty well. For this one, because I'm running it with a 5mm, we'll take advantage of the hipfire accuracy. But this is actually a very good submachine gun. Even when it came out, I was using this, pretty much this specific build, and I was using it to great effectiveness. So for some reason, a lot of people don't use this weapon. It has a very high rate of fire, pretty good damage profile, especially if you're at close quarters. So this is actually a very underused weapon, I would say, if not the most underused weapon for the submachine gun category. So go ahead and check this out. Let me know what you think. It actually has a lot of range on it as well with this specific Nightshade barrel attachment. Go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you guys think. Next up, we have the Mark 17 or the Scar Heavy. So this is a build I've shown off in the past. Mono suppressor, best in slot. We have the 20-inch barrel on this bad boy. Integral suppressor of the Leopold hammer. Then we have the 30-round magazine, which is unfortunately a must with this because we don't have a 50-round drum, unfortunately, for the FM 50-round drum, which really makes this thing, you really need to put on 50-round mag. I've used it with a 20, 25. You really need the 30-round on this thing to be viable. Even in solos, you can come up short with just the 20-round magazine. So 30 rounds gives you that little bit of extra insurance and allows you to put down targets. Then we have the bipod foregrip. Here we see we're going with the black and tan build here. Really nice looking build on this thing. And again, very nice weapon. It's definitely I would say a higher skill assault rifle, but if you can figure out how to use it correctly like I have a lot of videos on the channel, just go ahead and search them. and it works out really, really well if you can figure out how to play with this thing correctly. It's one of the better assault rifles in the game, I feel. So go and check that thing out. Let me know what you guys think. We have the same ISO build here, minus the Merc foregrip with a commando. Again, very similar. Not any really real difference here. Just a little bit more stable with the long range fire on that thing. Then we have the MG5. So again, I didn't rename this one to the MG5. But if we look here, we have the M91, or the MG5 in real life as it's known. We have a monolithic suppressor, the heavy barrel on this for the best in-slot barrel. That's going to give us the recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage at range increase. Tac laser, Leopold hammer again for 3.25, and the top mounted delta for close range. And then we have the Ranger foregrip here. You can also swap this out with a Merc because it is 7.62 by 51 millimeter. You can swap it out for the Merc, and it will probably help to control that recoil a little bit more at range at full auto. However, it's a little bit slower with the movement speed, so that's really personal preference. And then at base, we have the 100 round belt on there of the 7.62 by 51 millimeter. This is really a very good machine gun. I've used this quite a bit to a lot of effectiveness, and I think it is really probably, if not the most, one of the most underrated light machine guns in the game for the Modern Warfare submachine, or light machine guns actually. So go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you guys think. I have a lot of videos on the channel that if you're interested to check those out for dance gameplay and more. Go ahead and check that out. Next up for the LVAW. This is a build I've shown off probably 20 plus times in videos, so I won't go into that. LVAW, go ahead and look it up on the channel. The SIG LVAW are my M13 builds. This is probably one of my most used weapons here on the channel, as well as just in gameplay. This is always my old fallback weapon when the meta is getting too crazy. This is always my go-to, and it works out really well. Next up, we have the M4 Salt Mod build. So Salt Mod here, we have the mono suppressor base barrel attachment, which oddly enough is the best barrel minus the Corvus Custom and the M16 Grenadier. So the base barrel is going to be better than the Tac Light. It's going to be better than the Commando and the Predator. So really, I think the base barrel with just a red dot and a Commando is very, very good. But in this case, we're going to go with the Tac Laser for, again, that aim reduction speed, aim stability, and the aim walking steadiness. We're going to go the 4x flip for the increased magnification when we need to engage targets a little further out. Go the 60 round magazine. Again, this is our primary, so we'll go increase the ammo capacity from 30 to 60. And then we have the underslung M203 40mm grenade launcher. So again, you could swap this out with a Commando, and it's going to make it a very accurate AR. However, who doesn't want to use a M203 on this thing? It's definitely a niche underbarrel attachment, but if you can hit targets with this thing, especially dead on, it's going to be a kill. And I've had a couple point blank kills with this thing, and it's a lot of fun to use. So go ahead and check that out. Definitely, it's like I said, it's not super viable by any means, but it is a bunch of fun when you get it to work. So go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you guys think. Next, we have the UMP45, or as it is a game, if you go ahead and look at it, so this is actually the LCW Striker 45, or the LCW RC 45, I believe is what it is in real life. So it's not technically a UMP45. However, with the UMP blueprint, it transforms it into a UMP45. So we go and look at this. You can check out those videos on the channel. I've had a bunch of those. Mono suppressor, tactical suppressor to give it a more UMP look. Base barrel, 5mm laser, PBX 7 hollow, 45 round magazine, and the Commando foregrip. Basically, this blueprint makes it look cosmetically more like a H&K UMP45. Very, very nice looking. However, not good at all at range, but close range, it definitely hits pretty hard. So with a 45 magazine on there, you can definitely get away with it. This is probably, I would say, honestly, the worst submachine gun in the game for the Modern Warfare weapons. However, if you're up close and personal within 15 meters, it definitely works out really well. So let me know what you guys think of that. Next up, the SAW, or the Mark 46 build here. Going over this quite a bit. Mono suppressor, Horizon barrel with a 23-inch, Tac laser, integral hybrid of the Leopold hammer, and the Commando foregrip. This thing is basically Meta Bruin without being quite Meta Bruin from Season 5 of Modern Warfare. has a little bit more recoil, but this is basically the best build that I found, probably before anybody in the game, honestly, after this thing was nerfed. This thing is very, very good, very, very viable. I've had a lot of great games with this on Fortune's Keep, so I definitely suggest if you're looking for an LMG build, specifically Modern Warfare LMG builds, this is your go-to. So go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you guys think of this weapon. And again, that top-mounted that hammer sight or the integral hybrid, it gives you the 3.25 zoom, as well as when you get into close quarters, it gives you that top-mounted delta for the one time. So it's basically a red dot sight. It allows you to engage at various ranges, which is why I love that optics. Let me know what you guys think. Then we have our AUG build here. You can see this build here. I've gone to this a lot in previous videos. This is a very good build. Probably, in my opinion, my favorite build for the AUG. May or may not be the best in-slot build. However, you could probably swap a different attachment for the optic, but I love this optic for whatever reason. Throwing it on with a hollow or the PPX 7 works out really, really well. So let me know what you guys think of that. Back out, and we're going to go to the next build here, the Knights Armament Company LAMG. So this is the Finn LMG. This is a build that nobody ever uses. However, if you're going to compete with the Vanguard weapons, we may or may not have a separate video coming up on this soon. If you want to compete with those zero recoil Vanguard weapons, the Knights Armament Company LAMG with that recoil compensation system is going to be your best bet. We have the mono suppressor, the longest barrel in slot for the regular gas-tuned barrel here with the XRK long shot advantage. Going to give us the damage at range, bullet velocity, recoil control. We have the Alcan or the Scout combat optic for the 3.25 zoom on that thing. 100 round of the 5.6x45 NATO and the Commando foregrip. And then for the reticle option here, we have the T-pose. So this thing, very, very accurate. I'll have a separate video dedicated to this, which I have many in the past, so go ahead and look that up. But this thing, especially at Fortune's Keep, just definitely a great fallback given the crazy Vanguard meta we've been seeing. This thing definitely is very, very accurate with that recoil compensation system. Thankfully, Raven hasn't nerfed this thing to the ground. Not that it's a great light machine gun, but it is very accurate, specifically at range. So you can hit targets very far out, very accurately, making it definitely a deadly weapon for your loadout. Next up here, we have the Uzi. So the Uzi, going over this in the past, same build, mounted suppressor, 16.5 inch barrel, 5mm laser, 50 round of the 9x19 parabellum, and the Merc foregrip. This thing is a hipfire machine. Shout out to Odin, hipfire machine, as well as just very great range on this thing when you're ADS. So this is a surprisingly underrated submachine gun here that I've had a shocking amount of success with in the game. So go ahead and check that thing out. This is very, very good. I'm curious to hear you guys' feedback if you've used this, what you think of the Uzi. Next up, we have a really nice AKM or an AK-103 build here. Mono suppressor, Spetsnaz Elite barrel for that Midwest Industries M-Lock handguard. We have the integral hybrid or the Leopold hammer. We have that nice AK-12 butt stock or the FSS close quarter stock for the inbound sight speed. And then we skip all the other attachments and we throw on a Ranger foregrip there for the recoil control and the aiming stability. We're going to run the base barrel on this thing. This is a modernized looking AK. Again, this is an AK-103, AKM, maybe more so modernized AKM or a 103. Very nice looking build. And again, pretty decent, I would say. Not the best, but if you have the right playstyle, you can definitely get away with this thing, and it's very rewarding to get those kills. Next up, we have the Fennec or the Vector 45. This thing is always very reliable. We have the ZLR 18-inch deadfall, 5mm laser, sleight of hand. We have that 40 round of the 45 ACP, as well as the Commando foregrip to make it more accurate with the stability at range. That way we really only need to control the vertical recoil on this thing. And again, very good secondary here. With the fast recoil of his sleight of hand, it definitely hits hard, as well as gets you into the fight pretty quick, especially with that 30 round mag on the AKM or the 103. You definitely need a good fallback, and the Vector is going to do that for you. Next up, we have the, I didn't relabel this class, but we do have the H&K G36. This is my old Verdansk build that I whipped back out recently, and it's definitely very, very accurate, very effective. So we have the G28 compensator, base barrel attachment, tack laser on this thing, 4x flip for the long and close range engagements, 30 round magazine for, this is actually a very good, they buff this a lot throughout the course of the Modern Warfare Slice Cycle. So we have in-down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and the reload quickness on this thing. and the Merc foregrip for the best accuracy. Because this is technically in the light machine gun category, it does have a pretty weird recoil profile on this thing. So the Merc foregrip helps mitigate that, I think, in the best that of all the underbarrel attachments do. So this thing works out really well. I've had, especially on Verdansk, I had 2 wins in one day, both against meta Graus at the time. This was like season 4 or 5, where the Grau was complete meta, and I had wins over at Storage Town as well as downtown for this thing. This is a great build. I definitely recommend giving it a try. And we're going to be pairing it with a Agent K MP5. Again, sticking with the Agent K theme, we have the Model Suppressor, FSS Recon, which is the best in slot barrel attachment, 5mm laser for hip fire accuracy, 60 round of the 4.6 by 30 millimeter. I almost said 9 by 19. That's not correct. So 4.6 by 30, as well as the Ranger foregrip. So this is just a aesthetically beautiful looking build, especially with the Sandstone blueprint, and it pairs actually perfectly with the G36. So go ahead and give it a try. Let me know what you guys think. Those are all of our builds here in Season 4. These are what I'm currently running in my loadouts. We'll have a dedicated video or 2 here coming up, as well as perhaps a dedicated video to a Amazon series called Terminalist. So go ahead and look out for that. That should hopefully be up tomorrow, as well as we have the podcast with the Crash Games for the scope. That'll be up on Crash Games FPS tomorrow live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and check that out, as well as the Scopes YouTube channel. I'll link that down below. Let me know what you guys think. Till next time, Buffalo Gaming, out.